The Venus Orion Comics universe is officially underway, and now we're taking it even further. The launch of our official website and Patreon marks the next step in building this indie comic universe from the ground up. At VenusOrionComics.com, you'll find character bios, series breakdowns, and the foundation of everything we're building. Supporters on Patreon get access to exclusive Discord channels where you can dive deeper into the lore and interact directly with the creator community. Your support helps fund new issues, pay artists fairly, and speed up development across all 8 series in Phase 1. We're just getting started. Visit VenusOrionComics.com and join the Patreon today to help shape the future of this universe.
8 heroes, 8 stories, 1 universe begins. The Foundation launches the Venus Orion Comics universe, the first wave of interconnected stories. Each tale is self-contained, but everyone adds to the broader setup of the universe and its inevitable crossover of characters within this shared world. It all began with Varian Keller's Vampire Killers, and with every release, the stakes rise until the first universe-shaking crossover. Welcome to Venus Orion Comics. The universe is just opening.
And here it is, my custom artwork of my Venus Orion Comics comic book characters. Now, to be honest with you guys, you're not supposed to see this just yet, but you guys, you know, I love you guys. This is my YouTube channel, and I want to show you guys what I have here. That allows me to pretty much submit my artwork, and they'll put it, actually make a template for the arcade stick, which is the Mayflash 500 Elite. Now you have to make sure that you get this correct, because it's pretty much a sticker.
Hey, Chatisisa here, and everyone, please be aware, if you do not know what the Venus Orion Comics is, and if you don't know Mugen Lord, then I would highly recommend you check it out, because I've just got in the post my first comic book from the series, the new series from Mugen Lord and from Venus Orion Comics, and it's called Vampire Killers. I hope you can see that. So this is one of the possible covers, and it is really fantastic. First of all, high quality. Second, awesome art style, and of course, third, intriguing story. So if you like comics and you love this type of comics like vampires, then I would highly suggest that you check it out. So just FYI from my side, I'll be linking Mugen Lords and Venus Orion's Comics data below this post, but definitely check it out.
my way to tell you that I've got the very first graded comic in the world of vampire killers. And in all seriousness, I really love the comic. But you could have used a silver Sharpie. Silver Sharpie.
Hello guys, Joker the Fool here, back at it again with another comic review. This is Vampire Killers, done by Brian H. Blacksney. He goes by Mugen Lord on Twitter, and this comic is his first, and it launches the Venus Orion Comics shared universe. And what this story is the foundation of the Shadow World, and of course, it takes place in Neo-Delphia. This is a futuristic city that is plagued by vampires. Our main character here is Hezekiah Draybon, a 28-year-old vampire hunter, and he's tasked with taking down the main group of vampires. This is what the first, major plot line is establishing. Other than the world building, goes and tries to save this woman named Jasmine. And I think the stuff here is interesting. There is definitely some world building. You've got, like I said, the Guardian bands. You've got the city of Neo-Delphia. You've got the introduction of the character profiles, and you see another character profile here of Techlock, who's Matthew Summers. So introducing the characters that are going to be recurring and introducing the environment, or I should say the world that they're in, the basic elements of it. I think he does a pretty good job at doing this.
Who is the rooftop watcher? What did Jasmine know that made her a target? And how far does this mystery really go? Drop your theories below. Let's unravel it. Together.
Hey, Wrath. I was able to pinpoint Jasmine Mitchell's location.
Remember the pain, and remember the suffering.
What do you mean they're coming after me? I don't get it. How did they find out?
Everyone around you will pay the ultimate price.
I think someone just walked into my apartment.
Jasmine, get the hell out of there right now.
What are you?
Damn it, kid, I'm on my way.
High-grade silver nitrate bullets. Something your kind doesn't take lightly. Well, am I right? Vampire?
What is going on
Kid, did
here?
you forget? The party was canceled to avoid a potential police raid. Your friend should already know that.
No fucking way. Is he even human?
you're doing?
Jasmine, step away from the window right now!
Damn it! Looks like the police are headed in your direction.
No! Wait! Jasmine!
Only then will you become the man I remember. Hezekiah Draybon.
What is Varian Keller's Vampire Killers? The first comic in the Venus Orion Comics universe takes us to Neo-Delphia, a dystopian city under constant surveillance by the Guardian Protocol. Beneath the surface, a hidden war brews between three deadly factions: Echelon, the Church of Elohim, and the vampire society known as the Obscurum Order. When the Draybon brothers lose loved ones to a vampire known as the Flamebringer, they join forces with Varian Keller, a seasoned vampire hunter, to become night hunters and fight back. Alongside Varian's team, the Retributes, they train, hunt, and uncover the conspiracy fueling the Shadow War. Chapter 1 follows Hezekiah Draybon, who takes matters into his own hands after Varian fails to help him track down Alan Fleck. Varian Keller's Vampire Killers. The hunt begins now.
All right, here we go. Hey guys, welcome to the stream. I know I started a little bit late. I had a lot of stuff I had to go do. This won't be a long stream. I just wanted to just chat and chill with you guys for quite a bit because next week I have a big convention coming up next weekend. So I have to do a lot of preparation this week into next week. We leave for the convention, which is J1Con at Atlantic City. Next week, starting on Thursday. All the vendors will show up and we'll be at the Atlantic City, I think the casino on the boardwalk. We'll be there at that we'll be setting up at the casino. And I'm looking forward to it. Me and Orion Comics and my brother Strike and KOTs. We're gonna be vending there, and I can't wait. If you guys happen to show up, that would be awesome. Which a lot of cons that I've been to, a lot of you guys been showing up, and that's cool. You know, you've been hanging around, y'all been showing some support and stuff like that, and just chilling with us. So I really appreciate that. So we're gonna get into the comments real quick. We got here. We got Larian. What's up? What's up, Captain Brett? And what's up, Mr. Sonacy? Oh man, thanks, Captain Brett, for the $2 super sticker. Appreciate it. What's up, Samantha? Said 3D interview some cuties. Said, damn, Black Bar, you've been taking forever to come on. What's up, V? Yeah, man, I had to prepare and get some stuff together, get it all ready and everything before I get on. Yeah, so pretty much this stream will be just I'm just asking you guys if you've seen the description or seen the title and everything. If you guys can let me know what favorite era or generation of gaming do you that you enjoy the most. Which one is your favorite era? Your favorite era of gaming? Oh, that'd be awesome, V. That would definitely be awesome. What's up, Strato? What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, so that's pretty much I want to ask you guys what particular generation of gaming that you enjoyed the most and you got the most experience out of, you know what I'm saying? Quality experience, games that left an impact on your life and just left an impact on you as a gamer in general. And you still think about it to this very day, that generation. And you know, every time I think about a gaming era, I always think about all the other aspects that surrounds that era and the things that I was, you know, experiencing, not just with gaming, but what part or, you know, part of my life that I was going through during that time, whether it's good or positive, and everything. So we have Night Talon says PS3 era. Yeah, tell me why, Night Talon. Yeah, and that's another thing too. Tell me why as well. Like, why is that was your favorite era? Was there any particular games? Or there was a specific moment in your life too as well that, you know, during the course of that era that you said was the best in gaming. We got Emerald. What's up? What's going on? And Strato says my favorite era is the 6th gen era by far. I've been playing Prince of Persia, Sands of Time for the first time, and I've been having a blast. Oh man, that is awesome. Strato says, what's my PC specs? I got a 3080. I got it was it RTX, whatever it's called. I got an NVIDIA 3080. I got 48 gigs of RAM. I got an i7 processor. I'm gonna get next year. I'm looking to get a newer build, a newer rig built. So because mine is a multimedia, it's not really. I don't really game on my PC because, like I said, mine's is more like a multimedia PC for editing, special effects, also animation. Since you know that I'm a 3D hentai animator and I animate other things too, so I need quality, like fast rendering speeds and everything is a much of a priority to me for my PC. And especially with multitasking, having different display monitors, which I have 2 display monitors, and I'm looking to get a 3rd display monitor as well. But I need a powerful rig to be able to run all that as well. So yes, that's my specs that I have for this current PC that I have been. I just got the 3080 last about 2 weeks now. I think it's going on 2 weeks because my 2080 had finally died on me. I had it for about 5 years. I had it. I think I had it since 2020 or 2021. I had the 2080. So and before that I had the 1080. So that's how that ended up being. So this computer is a Windows 10, so I've been running this for like the past since 20. I've been running this for a very long time, for like 5 or 6 years, and I've just been doing like increment upgrades because before I didn't have 48 gigs of RAM. I think I forgot how many gigs of RAM I had before. I think I had like 16 or 18 gigs of RAM. I think it was before. So yeah, I have a big boost in RAM that I did over time, and then I had a quad processor, quad core processor. Then I went to an i5, and then I went from an i5 to an i7 with this PC or over the course from 2020 and stuff like that. So it's about time for me to get a brand new rig computer system built and stuff. So I'm going to look into that for next year. Easy answer for me: 6th and 7th generation era. I keep forgetting the numbers. 6 and 7 was what? 6 is like PS3, and then 7th is PS4, right? I would say PS2 era for me. Oh yeah. PS2 era was actually a pretty good era too as well. I mean, I think that's where it was golden at, from the, like I said, from the 90s, from the early 90s all the way up to the early to mid 2000s was like that era, like that the best era right there. But I'll share what my favorite era is in a bit. Gotta be the SNES and the PS1 era for me. Yeah, oh man, like we definitely gonna talk about that, like because we all we like the same age, so we definitely know, man. PS4 era, mostly because I joined while still was active instead of being a generation behind like the others. Okay. I love the Nintendo Wii, PS3, and PS4 eras. The PS2 era was my favorite since I grew up in that era. There was such a vast library of great games, and the creativity was unmatched in that era. Most of the games I wanted are based off the PS2 era and the PS3 era. Sony were more experimental and had great exclusives. PS3 were most people Blu-ray player. The PS3, well, I won't. How can I say it? I'll hold on to that for a second. GTX series is the peak of the NVIDIA. I wish I got into PC in that generation. Oh, interesting. See, I don't really know much about like PCs and stuff like that, like what's considered a great era and stuff like that. I'm just looking to upgrade my PC so I can be able to run things. 6 was PS2. Okay, yeah, GameCube. And what Dreamcast was the 5th, because Dreamcast came out in like a weird spot because when Dreamcast came out, it was around the time that the PS1 and 64 was out the door, was pretty much done. Their cycle, their generation cycle is about to come to an end. So where did Dreamcast fit? Dreamcast would fit in the 6th, or would you put that in the 5th? Because they had to rush the Dreamcast out because of how bad the Sega Saturn had failed. And everything, kind of like how it was kind of weird with the Nintendo Switch because of how bad the Wii U was. The Switch was in like in a weird like release spot or whatever. Kind of kicked the 6, but at the same time not. Yeah, I talked about that before. How people didn't consider the Dreamcast like the kick to the next generation because Sony was the leader. Sony, it wasn't to the PS2 where they considered next generation started, and Sony was cocky when they said it. They said, "No, next gen doesn't start until we start." And when the PS2 came out, that's when they considered the 6th generation, right there. Regardless of the Dreamcast coming out a year ahead of the PS2, but yes, man. I would say that my favorite era would be, and like I said, the Dreamcast, it fits in this weird spot from the 5th and the 6th generation. So if I was to choose, if I was to pick, because I want to pick based off where the Dreamcast landed. So if anything, I would say the 5th generation, which was the PS1, Nintendo 64, and the Sega Dreamcast. I mean, you had the Sega Saturn in there, but like I said, Dreamcast fit in this weird spot. It's like it sits right in between 5th and 6th. But I would say that the PS1, the 64, the Nintendo 64, and that Sega Dreamcast, that was my favorite era. This is where gaming had pretty much just transformed. It was like we were stepping into uncharted territories. This is where we started getting into 3D gaming. This is where we had so many developers popping up, introducing and experimenting with all kinds of different games. And every release felt like a new like a new experience, or it felt like an evolution within the PS1 era. Like every time a new game came out, every time you think the PS1 was capable of putting out even more impressive games, the PS1 just keeps shocking you, especially with Squaresoft, with Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy was like that console defining gaming experience where every time a new Final Fantasy came out during that era, it always pushed the limits of that console. And there were so many memorable moments that I had with the PlayStation era and Nintendo 64, especially with the PlayStation, when I played one of my first real JRPG experiences on the PlayStation, which was Suikoden. After Suikoden, it was after that it was Final Fantasy 7, then Final Fantasy Tactics, and then I wouldn't say 7 yet. I would say Wild Arms, and then Final Fantasy 7 when that came out, and it was just I was just going through an RPG craze, Legends of Mana, Xenogears. Like I told you, Xenogears, that was like the defining moment for me for the PlayStation with Xenogears. Xenogears is still one of my favorite JRPGs of all time, and it's pretty much influenced the inception of Venus Orion Comics and the Venus Orion Comics universe as well. So that's why that era means so much to me. And then with the Nintendo 64, Mario 64, this pretty much birthed the 3D platformer or the 3D adventure games, like with Mario 64, and then we started getting other games like that, and then Zelda Ocarina of Time, which birthed dungeon crawling action adventure games like Soul Reaver on the PlayStation and stuff, which they considered that the Zelda killer and everything. So there was so much competition and everything that was going on in that era. But I'll continue on with that thought in a second. I have to go back and read these. Dreamcast was much better than the PS2. I agree. I like the PS2. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of games on the PS2, but I enjoyed the Dreamcast more than I enjoyed the PS2. I enjoyed the Dreamcast. Dreamcast had a better launch lineup than the PS2. PS2 started off real slow. It dragged its feet. It was the worst launch in my personal opinion. I went back to playing PS1 games on my PS2 because it was like a drought. It was so dead. Once the bouncer and then once Grand Theft Auto, Final Fantasy X kicked in and everything, that's when the PS2 really started picking up steam. But the Dreamcast, it was so many games for the Dreamcast and great titles, gems, and everything. You know what I'm saying? He said, I need them to bring back Breath of Fire, a Terranigma. This dude loved Terranigma. Back in high school, when we was like in 10th grade, he was the one that introduced me to Terranigma and Bahamut Lagoon. And I didn't know what those titles were, but he told me that I was able to play them on the emulator, and I gave those games a try. And I see why those games are held such to high regard, because they were never released here, on the SNES. So yeah, I would love to see a Terranigma, and I also would love to see a Xenogears remake, and I would love to see Bahamut Lagoon, because we do have it's a tactic strategy game. We got games like Fire Emblem that really push the strategy games up there in the mainstream, and then of course Final Fantasy Tactics. So Bahamut Lagoon, something that Square Enix had made back in the day that never released there. I would love to see that come here with like a HD 2D remake. I think that'll be awesome. Let's see, we got here Captain Bread said, well, peripherals, music, and tie-in media comes into play. Cool. Unfortunately, Capcom created Monster Hunter Stories, which is their JRPG franchise now. Yeah, I'm gonna try the third one. I didn't play the other two. I'm gonna try the third one for the Nintendo Switch 2 when that released. Dreamcast was on the league of its own, like how Nintendo is now. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. One of my favorite consoles of all time. Yo, what's up, Rowan? You're not really late. We just really started, actually. For me, early 2000s for the best. But really anything from about 1999 to 2012 is good. And I agree with that too. I definitely agree with that. There's some great games, great gems during that era as well. And I was like, around like 2011, I just went back to college to finish college when I graduated in 2014 to get my bachelor's degree in business administration. And most of my favorite games seem to be around that year. What's up, Talcum? What's going on, bro? So my favorite generation of gaming, you say? I'll say that the fifth and sixth generations of gaming, so many bangers and those gems from Xenogears to Ace Combat 5. So yeah, I guess if I was to pick two generations together, it will be 5 and 6. They were my favorite generations of gaming, especially once we stepped into the PS2, the Nintendo GameCube, and the first Xbox console. Those were some great moments because we did get introduced. I mean, Dreamcast kicked it off with online, like with the consoles doing the whole, like really pushing the online gaming aspect of it. That's what I said. Dreamcast was definitely before its time. But yes, the sixth generation was like I said, pretty good. Was really good. PS2, GameCube, original Xbox, and we still throwing the Dreamcast because the Dreamcast fit in that weird spot. Generation 5 at the tail end of Generation 5 into to the beginning half of Generation 6 or whatever like that. So yeah, so Generation 5 and 6, I would say, was my favorite era of gaming because now with Generation 5, as I said before, we saw the birth of a new era of gaming, and we kept seeing how much gaming were progressing, starting with the PlayStation 1, and then once the Nintendo 64 came out, we got introduced to the analog stick and how to control characters in 3D spaces and everything with Mario 64. As I said before, Zelda Ocarina of Time, and then like I said, Bomberman Hero was one of my favorite Nintendo 64 games, and then we definitely can't leave out Super Smash Brothers. Super Smash Brothers just took over. That after a while, that was mostly the only game. I was still getting games on 64, but that Smash Bros. 64 was the most played game on my Nintendo 64. Now, like I said before, I played the hell out of my Nintendo 64, but Super Smash Bros. Was the most played game on my Nintendo 64 game console. Then you can't forget the WCW versus NWO series, and then of course WrestleMania 2000 and WWF. Or WWE No Mercy. Those are my favorite games on Nintendo 64. You can't forget Star Fox 64, which was another party game that we enjoyed. Mario Party, which ruined friendships and everything. And then of course Mario Kart 64, and then GoldenEye, Jet Force Gemini, Perfect Dark. Oh man, it was so many games on Nintendo 64, and I can go all day on that. What was it? Beetle Adventure Racing. Oh man, it was just crazy. And then you just step into Generation 6 with the PS2 and the Dreamcast and everything. Oh my god, like and the GameCube, we can just go on all day, and I'll talk more about that in a second. I gotta catch back up. Man, you guys are moving fast with the comments. I gotta scroll back up. Yeah, I have to reload it. So is your RPG universe that you said you want to make going to cross over with your comic book universe? Or I can't spoil that, Talcum. I will have to let you leave that to your own imagination. I can't spoil that. There's a whole, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts with Venus Orion. I didn't say comics, I said Venus Orion in general. There's a lot of moving parts, and I don't want to spoil that because once you start reading the comics about my universe and other things, you're going to see where I'm going with this. You definitely want to see it. So I don't want to spoil that, but I love that question though. I love that question. I haven't gotten into any new Capcom JRPGs. This generation I have less nostalgia, more like the console I have less nostalgia was the PS1. I didn't have the same. I kind of skipped the PS1, Sega Saturn, and 64, and my parents gave me a Dreamcast in December of 2001. Okay, I disagree that Dreamcast is better than the PS2. Yes, I mean like we can't see. The thing is, all right. I guess we can't say it was better than PS2 or the PS2 is better than the Dreamcast. Like I said, like the Dreamcast games wasn't what failed, man. like I said, man, the DVD player, it was like the DVD player and the fact, and y'all got to remember too, you can't miss out the fact is that EA wanted Madden to be, EA Sports wanted to be the home of Sega Dreamcast, and they wanted to dominate. That mean they would have control. That mean EA was saying that that Dreamcast could not have any other sports but Madden, and Sega turned that down. If Sega would have, if Sega would allow Madden to be the home if Madden was to be the home of the Sega Dreamcast, that would have also helped them, because Madden got bigger and bigger during the PS2 era. Madden was such a big thing. They were midnight releases. I'm not a sports guy. I just never understood midnight releases for sports games, but Madden was such a big deal back in the day. And Sega said no to EA. So it wasn't just the DVD player. It was EA that also signed the Dreamcast's death. Because if they allowed Madden to be on there, I'm telling you right now, we would have had a different landscape. We would have had a different landscape when it comes to the leadership that Sony had. We would have had a different dynamic. Gaming would have been totally different. Can you imagine if Sega was still around? We have the Xbox. We have this. We have the whatever Sega console that's out. We still have Sony and Nintendo. We could have still had 4 competitors. So, in a sense, we would never know what that would have been like. I love the Dreamcast growing up. Sonic Adventure games, Shenmue, Dead or Alive. The Dreamcast was basically home arcade machine. It definitely was. That's what they beat Sony in when it came to ports. Can you imagine if they were still around? If Tekken 4 came out, that would have went straight to Dreamcast, and that would have been a much more superior port. Can you get what I'm saying with this? Can you imagine if Sega was still around? Street Fighter 4 would have been the better port on the Sega console. You know what I'm saying? Like BlazBlue would have been the better port on the Sega console. Fighting games would have been the home, like, for competitive play for fighting games if Sega was still around. Sega had so much going for it. It was just missed opportunities, and they were before their time. So I played so many games on the PS1. I spent summers at my uncle's house because he bought every PS1 game that came out. Yeah, man. Said Bahamut Lagoon HD would take my money. I agree, bro. Hey, bro. I don't know. It's hard to rank since it was all different ages too. So it's hard to be objective. SNES up to the PS2 was the best gaming time, though, for me. Yeah, like those earlier ons. No matter which one you pick, you were good. You know what I'm saying? Because those were the golden years, the golden eras. Sega Dreamcast didn't have much of a library back then, as I recall. But when PS came out of age, I was like, oh yeah, I had a lot of PS2. Nah, like when Dreamcast came out, right? When Dreamcast came out, Dreamcast launch had a racing game. It had Power Stone. It had Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It had Sonic Adventure. It had Blue Stinger. It had Ready to Rumble. It had Soul Calibur. It had the 2K, NBA 2K, NFL 2K, and then later on, like going into the following year, we got Crazy Taxi. We eventually got Zombie Revenge, Choo Choo Rocket, Fur Fighters. The list of Resident Evil Code Veronica. They were dropping bangers. Dreamcast was dropping bangers. But as I said before, once the PS2 came out, it was just an afterthought. Developers just abandoned the Dreamcast. Sega was just left to developing games themselves. Can't forget Jet Set Radio. If you know Dreamcast piracy, you know Team Echelon. Also, Muga, you really watch some more mecha animes, especially Gundam and Macross. My suggestion, Gundam. Yeah, I haven't really gotten to like Gundams like that. Gundam Wing was the only one I really watched. Didn't really get into the other Gundams. And Macross I didn't really watch either. I grew up with the PS2 to PS3 PC games, StarCraft, Warcraft 3, and Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. Then Dreamcast, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Capcom SNK 2, Gauntlet Legends. These games were introduced to by my uncles in my kid days. Awesome. Resident Evil Code Veronica came out on Dreamcast first, and that game is considered the real Resident Evil 3. Well, yes, no, it actually is the real Resident Evil 3. You have to understand, Sony had so much power in the game industry, kind of like how Nintendo had the power in the industry earlier on. Sony had the power to where they threatened Capcom. They threatened Capcom and made them take Nemesis, because Nemesis wasn't supposed to have a 3. Nemesis was just called Resident Evil Nemesis. That was supposed to be the spinoff that Sony got, and then Resident Evil 3 was Code Veronica because they actually moved the story forward. But Sony threatened them and made Capcom switch the number, took the number off of Veronica and put the number on Resident Evil Nemesis, and then just called Code Veronica, as if that was just a spinoff. We used to bootleg Dreamcast games from Blockbuster. You need to boot up this. Yeah, like I said, piracy was a big thing back in the day. A really, really big thing. And like V said, V just proved the point I was telling a lot of these people that always try to make piracy like a noble thing. Like, we doing it because we trying to preserve gaming. No, growing up, bootlegging games was a big thing, and it was not to preserve games. It was to play games for free, and it still is to this day. But everybody trying to take pirating games that, oh, we're just trying to preserve games that we can't, that developers are refusing to bring to modern consoles. No, that was never. Yes, you should have some people that believes in that, but that was never the notion. Piracy is piracy. You're stealing, and guess what? If you want to steal, I'm not judging. I'm not pointing the finger at you, but I don't like the fact is that people try to turn pirating games as a noble thing, that we're just trying to preserve games. No, you're not. And most people don't go on Twitter or whatever like that to see what the narrative is. Most people want to pirate games because they want to pirate games. They want to play the games for free without paying for shit. And that's always been the case, me growing up. And V just proved that. You got that bootleg disc, and Dreamcast was definitely getting it was a lot of pirating going on the Dreamcast. So yeah, V just proved the point I was making. Like, he know why he was getting those bootleg discs, so he can be able to play the game, so you don't have to pay for it. And he had no shame. There's no shame in it. But a lot of people try to make it into a noble cause, or a noble thing while they pirate. Evo is great too. Man, the Dreamcast made me a lot of good memories. Soul Calibur, Dare Law, Crazy Taxi, and 1 and 2, Shenmue, Song of Adventure 1 and 2. Yup. Let's see what we got here. I remember Utopia boot disc. Even on the old PC, Pirates, that's still an unmatched experience for me. But I've games since Pong and calculator games, Flogger, Safari, etc. So hello. Yo, what's up? What's up, sis? Frogger, damn, autocorrect. He said, I miss when I could say the F word and not lose 12 years of progress on old school RuneScape. So let me put some input. Shenmue for the Dreamcast. I didn't play that until Steam because of the anime, but Power Stone used to play the hell out of that game. Mischief Makers, yup. Sin and Punishment, Star Fox. Moon Lord Super Smash Brothers was awesome as hell. I played the game with my sister. Yeah, also a Smash Brothers 64. I used to bring my console, my 64. Like, me and my cousin Tyree went to the same middle school. The middle school that I went to was like a 10-minute walk, but his house is like a 3-minute walk from the school. So I used to leave the house around like 7 o'clock, go to his house, and then me and him would leave together. And what happens is there was times where my friends at the middle school that we went to, they would go to Tyree's house. So I would go home real quick, grab my 64, bring Super Smash Brothers, bring all 4 of my 64 controllers, and man, we used to get it the fuck in Super Smash Brothers 64. And that was when I was in 6th grade. I was in 6th grade when Smash Brothers 64 came out in middle school. Wheaton is my stay gift when I was 9, I think. Mario Kart is awesome. Perfect Dark. Which one had Gundam, Alex? Bro, senior year used to bring your system to school. We sat there and played games all day. Yeah. I broke my GameCube to school with Smash Bros. Melee. Used to bust everybody's ass and everything. Yeah, that was some that. Yup, we used to hook the TV up, and that was during like the like before we go off on the Christmas holidays. So the teachers used to bring the TV, and we used to have a party and stuff like that, and we used to bring food. And I would bring my GameCube, put it in my book bag, bring it to high school. I used to bring Super Smash Bros. Melee and other multiplayer games that we can all play and everything. Oh man, we had a good time with that. Oh man, Street Fighter 2 back on the SNES. The games that I enjoyed, was Sleeping Dogs, WWE. I hate the SmackDown versus Raw games. Those games could never compete with Aki, with the ones that made the WCW versus NWO and the WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy. Can never those SmackDown games was nowhere compared on any league to them. Budokai series, love that. Naruto Classic Ninja, Ultimate Ninja. My games on 64 was GoldenEye 007, Resident Evil 2, Killer Instinct, Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. I got that, and I got Doom 64 as well. Have you played Devil May Cry? Yeah, I have the first one. I have the first Devil May Cry. I have Devil May Cry 5. Like I said, I'm not really into those into Devil May Cry. Like for Devil May Cry, yeah, like the action game is a character action game. But besides the character action games, the story has to be appealing to me. And the Devil May Cry stories is whack. They're like they're all over the place. They don't make sense sometimes. They're very stupid to me. So the story, for me to play character action games, I have to give a fuck about the story as well. And none of the Devil May Cry stories never click with me. So that's why I never really play them. This guy one on the PS2 was better than Final Fantasy X for me. Dreamcast had a lot of arcade games I loved on there. Cannon Spike, I have Cannon Spike as well. I love me some Cannon Spike. Perhaps we all get another Dreamcast. I wish Sega would have did a Dreamcast Mini or a Sega Saturn Mini at some point, because Xbox and PlayStation are kind of sucking ass. We'll never get another Dreamcast. Consoles are expensive, man, to develop. I think consoles cost almost $500 million. Some consoles and stuff. You have to spend a lot of money because there's a lot of research and development to build the technology. It costs hundreds of millions of dollars, and Sega's not going to spend that money. They're just doing much better just doing games. So the dreams of no pun intended, the dreams of having a new Sega console, you might as well just let that go. Too bad. It was so easily pirated that killed it, to be honest. The modern Ninja Gaiden was supposed to be a Dreamcast exclusive. Yeah, and Grand Theft Auto 3 was supposed to be a Dreamcast exclusive. And it never Dreamcast never made it. But yeah, Dreamcast and just recently, like a couple months ago, somebody had leaked out the Dreamcast build for a Grand Theft Auto 3. That was supposed to be an exclusive. Half-Life 2 was supposed to be release on the Dreamcast. And you know what happened with Half-Life 2, that ended up being pushed back to another generation. But that was also supposed to come to the Dreamcast as well. If Dreamcast was successful, I don't think Xbox would exist. No, I don't think. Nah. The Xbox was going to exist regardless, because you remember this was during the time that Microsoft was under fire for monopoly, so they had to break Microsoft up, and that's another reason why that pushed Microsoft to do consoles or whatever. So Xbox would have happened regardless, because even with Sega, Sega wasn't their motivation to do the Xbox. The actual creators of the Xbox, this was something that they wanted to do. This was something they were planning for a long time, and they didn't think they was going to get the okay for it. But they pitched it, and then these guys worked at Microsoft but never met Bill Gates. So they pitched the idea, and then they sent them to Bill Gates. Bill Gates saw it, and he said sure, and he said what? He agreed, and that's how they got it rolling after that. I know this is a pipe dream, but I really want Sega to make another console on par with current. Yeah, I know, man. I wish to, but Sega's not the same Sega anymore. Because if Sega would be in a good position if you think about it, if they did do a no console, because they own Atlas. You know, so you know what that means. All the Persona franchise will be an exclusive to the dream to whatever new Sega console. Everything under the Atlas umbrella will be exclusive to that console. Is the video stream randomly freezing for anyone? Is it still doing that, man? What the hell is going on? This StreamYard sucks, dog. This StreamYard is ass. Let me see. 1 second, guys. Let me look on my phone. Superior to Matt. Yep. Jet Set Radio is an oddball franchise. It's only the Enders. Second runner is sick. It was less of a threat and more of a contract. Yeah, I agree. Damn, more comments. Hold up. Shit. Where was it? Damn. Well, I gotta find where we were at. Okay, yeah. Sony had a contract with Capcom where only a number of Resident Evil games. Okay, got you. In case I played pirate games on Dreamcast because they were bloody expensive here in Brazil. What's up, Moon Lord? Yo, what's up, Jordan? What's up, Jay Blue? What up, Moon Lord? Playing Street Fighter 6 in the Fighting Collection. Cool. What's up, Jado? Super Nintendo, original Nintendo, and Dreamcast, my favorite. Pitfall on PS2 all day. What's up, Rav? Back in high school, since we all had 3DS, me and my boys would play Super Smash Brothers, 3DS, and Mario Kart. Did anyone have played the Disney games made by like Aladdin? Yep, played those. Yep. Couch co-op, Super Smash Bros. Melee. Let's see, we got here. WWE No Mercy was the game included. True, I think it's the best one. I missed playing Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. Yo, what's up, DJ 9? What's going on? Let's see. Isn't Canon Spike the game? Yeah, it's the game with Cammy. It's named at the Cammy's move. The story is pretty simplified and straightforward. It's usually my kind of story. Sega lost a lot of money at the time. Sony had Tekken and Metal Gear Solid. Speaking of Dreamcast, Sega finally bringing back Jet Set Radio. Yep. Half-Life on the PC was life for me at one point. Counter-Strike. Yeah, Cannon Spike was named after Cammy's move. The generation that was good was the GameCube. Yep, PS2 and era. PlayStation. Sony was supposed to do it. Yep, that's what gave Sony RIP StreamYard. Yeah. Let me see something real quick. Let me check. Let me see. I'm going on my phone at the stream real quick. Yeah, the StreamYard, man. I'm not the StreamYard. The only reason why I picked StreamYard because I'm able to pull up your comments and make different windows, and stuff. It makes things so much easier. Because with OBS, you have to do a lot of manual stuff to put stuff together. But this experience, it makes things so much easier. And the OBS, you have to do a lot of manual stuff. Yeah, and the mic quality, and the mic quality suck. Because the StreamYard is a browser. It's a browser type of streaming. Opposed to OBS is a software or whatever like that. So you get the better quality, you get the better sound and stuff. And this is based off the browser itself. So I'm still contemplating whether or not. And also what I also like about StreamYard, I can create my intros easier, like how you see my Venus Orion Comics stuff. It's so much easier doing that stuff, but I'm not sure how long I want to keep this up using StreamYard if it's going to keep freezing and lagging every 5 minutes. And I have to turn down the settings. I'm paying a subscription for this. I'm paying $40 a month to give me a high end so I can use 1080p, but I have to take the camera down from 1080p, just so I can try to stop a bit of the freezing or the lagging and stuff. This sucks. And the NFL not exclusive been so much better right now. Competition need now more than ever. Yep, I agree. The game that I want that would never come out again is Def Jam Fight for New York. Oh man, yeah, we'll never see that again. Def Jam Fight for New York on the Xbox. I had that on the Xbox, and oh man, I love that game. And that was made by the same developers, Aki, who made WCW versus NWO and did WWF No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000. Same developers. That's why that game was so fucking good. Let's see what we got here. But you can just swap to OBS once you're live. So, well, you can just swap to OBS once you're live. I can. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean swap? Because if I swap to OBS, then I think it turns the camera off. Because what I try to do is I try to use the virtual camera to pull everything off, so it can pull from OBS, but it lags everything. So I grew up on that game, but I started playing a couple years back. Now I'm super into it. Not another one as well, but I don't want. What streaming software is better than OBS? I don't know. I think OBS is the best one. We ain't never getting a new Def Jam game. Yeah, you can fucking forget that. Yeah, well, turn off StreamYard and start streaming from OBS. Also, I think I gotta set everything back up again. So it just that means it will cut the stream completely off. I gotta set everything back up. I gotta remember what my keys were. So I just do that another time. But I love the fact that I'm able to pull up the comments and stuff on from the using StreamYard. It's easier, so you guys can see your comments as well. Yeah, OBS is better. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm just gonna go back to OBS. Starting probably on Friday. I'll probably do that on Friday. I'll go back. I'll use Restream. Yeah. I'll use Restream. Go back to Restream. Like I said, the only con is that you guys won't be able to see your comments pop back up. Yeah. You won't see your comments pop back up. I'll just be reading the comments off the the separate window and everything. So what I'm going to do is today's Wednesday. So what I'm going to do tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend tomorrow just trying to organize and my OBS and look over everything, and then we'll go back to that again. We'll just go back to doing that, and I'm going to just unsubscribe to Restream. No, not Restream. I'm going to just unsubscribe to StreamYard because I'm spending all this money. I'm spending $40 monthly, and this shit is ass. And you notice I can't even play video games on this either. It sucks at streaming games. You can't even stream games on this either. So I'm gonna go back to OBS and do that. It's just the only thing you won't be able to see your comments anymore, and everything. So that's the only part that sucks. And and plus my mic quality be back to normal again because the mic quality also fucking sucks. Please, but still, you're right. You're right. But yeah, I wasted a lot of money monthly doing with this. It's getting frustrating. So I made Liu Kang. I just made myself B Sun because I was a rapper during that time. So I just made myself and everything on Def Jam Fight for New York. Sorry I'm late. My favorite gaming. Oh no, welcome Landon. Was Genesis and SNES era. That was when even families were playing games. My family members would watch me play different games. I was a fiend back then. I hated when Def Jam was teasing the idea on Twitter a couple years back. Either show something about, nah, man, leave it alone. What rappers all these rappers today? I don't even fucking care about. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't care. There's something about Cammy. Yeah, definitely something about Cammy. Like I said, my first crush, like fictional crush, was for video games, not anime, just video games. My video game waifus, my first video game crushes were Chun-Li and Cammy. They were my first video. They were my first fictional crush. Was those two, Cammy and Chun-Li. The two bad Def Jam icon killed that franchise. I was so hyped when they first introduced icons, and then when I saw the gameplay, I was like, "What the fuck?" And once I realized that Aki wasn't working on it, I was like, "I'm not interested in this." I don't know any of these rappers today. They died Chun-Li, and yeah, and Chun-Li, she was the one that got that gave me interest in Asian women. Like, and I was a kid back then, so it was Chun-Li for Asian women, Chinese women, and stuff like that. It was Chun-Li growing up as a kid with Street Fighter 2, but it was Cammy and Chun-Li. They were my first fictional crushes. And then after that, the next video game character was Jill Valentine. And then at Jill Valentine came Odessa from Suikoden. She became my crush. And then right after Odessa, then it was Tifa and Aerith from Final Fantasy VII. I think I know why. Them thick thighs. Sly Bry. Even David Banner, Snoop Dogg, he stated that they want Def Jam to come back, and even they are gamers. Yeah, I would like them. Look, I saw an interview with Ice-T talked about that, and I think Joe Buttons talked about it too. How he would be, how that would be interesting for it to come back. But they're going to bring it back. They got to bring even the old school. They got to bring everybody back. Joe B rappers. I don't know any of these motherfuckers. If they bring them back, if they bring Snoop Dogg, all the older rappers back, yes, like I'm on board. Like, I am on board with that. And now Jory Hunt, yep. Yeah, icon. That gameplay of that, it was, yeah, because Aki wasn't behind the development of that. Said rip. Let's see. That's just checking. My first video game crush for me was from Final Fantasy VI and at least Phantasy Star 4. Yeah, man, those are my favorite. Those were my crush. Those were my crushes growing up as a kid. Man, you couldn't tell me anything about Chun-Li and Cammy and them. Let's see, and especially Jill Valentine. Even if that Jam come back, I don't know how I would feel with Chance Rapper. Yeah, I wouldn't even know. Yeah, my favorite character in Def Jam was Banner. I didn't really. I played with some of the rappers, but I played with my created character. I was myself. in that version in the Fight for New York. I played a bit of the original, the first game. It had DMX and stuff in it. I played and that because I thought Def Jam was whack when I first saw like the screenshots. I'm like, well, I want to play a fighting game with rappers. That's this shit gonna be whack. Because when you see games that feature rappers and stuff like that, most time they're never good. But man, my cousin had it and brought it to the house, the first game. And I said, yo, this is an arcade wrestling type game, wrestling / fighting game, and I was hooked. And then around the time that he showed it to me, they was already right after they right after they announced Fight for New York. Jury is a dark spider queen and would be K-pop idol. I never even bothered. I saw it at E3 Icon when they revealed it at E3, and I was so hyped. And once they showed the actual gameplay, they did a demonstration on stage, and the environments moving. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So this shit looked ass. I said, well, I won't be getting this. Mac 10. I played Def Jam New York for PSP. I didn't know it was on PSP. Like I said, I wasn't really a PSP player. I had a PSP, but I didn't really play it like that. But yeah, that Def Jam was a really good game. I enjoyed every aspect of that. It was really awesome. But yeah, like I said, the Generation 5 and Generation 6, that was my favorite era. Especially we stepped into the PS2 and the GameCube and the Xbox One. And of course, the Dreamcast didn't make it all the way through to the 6. It made it through the first beginning parts of Generation 6. But once we stepped into those next generation consoles, as I said before, I have a personal connection with the Nintendo GameCube, because Nintendo GameCube was my very first console that I bought with my own money. I was 14 years old and I was working a summer job, so I saved a lot of money during the summer to get ready for the launch of the GameCube. I pre-ordered it and everything. I have so many personal connections and fun experiences with the Nintendo GameCube. You know what I'm saying? It brought in some of the most fun experience, especially with Super Smash Bros. Melee. My first introduction to Pikmin. I didn't think there was going to be a game that I was going to like, but I wanted to try it, and I got it, and I enjoyed every last bit of it. That was also the era where I was growing in. I'm a teenager. I'm about to become a young man and everything. And me and my cousins, we hung out more. That's when I started getting into rap. Start our own rap group called Elite Four, and then became the Elite after that. But yeah, my cousins used to come over every day after school, and Phantasy Star Online. We played hundreds. I mean, like almost 1,000 hours in Phantasy Star Online episode 1 and 2 on GameCube. And my cousin used to bring his memory card with his character data on it and stuff like that. And we used to play that for countless hours in my room. It would be me, Keo, my cousin Dave, and then my other cousin would come over, and we would just, all four of us would play that all day for hours. And then of course, we had the Fire Emblem. What was it called? Path of Radiance, I think it was. That was also a good game on the Nintendo GameCube. Bates and Kaidos. That was a good game on the Nintendo GameCube. There were so many. Man, my GameCube collection was way bigger than my PS2 collection. I played the shit out of my GameCube. My favorite game controller is the Wavebird, and my orange GameCube controller. No one could touch those. Those were for my single player games. I had Eternal Darkness for GameCube. I had Mario Sunshine, which was another fun game on Nintendo GameCube. I can go on all day with the GameCube experience. You said I sell my old consoles and games from Atari up to PS5 that would cover my new consoles. Yeah, we don't sell consoles at my house. Like none of us sell. We get. That's why I got all my consoles. I got a big collection of games. We don't trade games. We don't sell games unless we have extra copies of the same game. Then we'll trade in that extra copy or sell that extra copy. But we don't do that unless the game is really, really that bad. You know what I'm saying? But so what's better, the Bouncer, Beatdown, Fist of Vision, never played Beatdown, Def Jam, or Urban Reign? Well, I mean, like, you can't really compare like Bouncer is like adventure beat 'em up. Def Jam is more like a wrestling slash fighting game. I never played Urban Reign, and I'm pissed off that I didn't play Urban Reign. I used to see advertisement, didn't know what the fuck it was. But I would have loved that game. How many players was that? Like a 6-player all out brawler, like open, like arena brawler and stuff. It had Bayonetta in it and stuff. Man, I wish I would have known about that game. I think it was on Xbox. It was advertised a lot on Xbox, but I never bought that game because I wasn't familiar with a lot of the. I wasn't familiar with it. I even knew Bayonetta was in it. Yo, okay, Extreme. To be honest, Capcom had mentioned that Jury is based on Chun-Li if she was bad. I didn't know that. Only kept my handheld in those games, which all got stolen and probably pawned. PSP and all Game Boys. Never had a DS though. I had a Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, the Atomic Purple Game Boy Color. Love that. And I had a Game Boy Advance SP. Then I had a Nintendo DS, and then a Nintendo 3DS, and then upgraded to a Nintendo 3DS XL. And yeah, that was pretty much ended the handheld era after that. But I didn't really play them much. Like when I did play handhelds, it was always that one game where I spent most of my hours in. When it came to the Game Boy Advance SP, it was Lunar. It was the remake to the Lunar game for the Game Boy Advance, Lunar Advance. And I used to put hours into that. That was a good game. That was my first time playing a Lunar game. And then when it came to the Game Boy games, when it came to Game Boy Color, it was just mostly Pokemon. It was Pokemon Blue and Yellow. and that was the only games I put hours into. I didn't really play other games on my Game Boy Color. My Game Boy Pocket, I wanted a Game Boy Pocket. I don't know why. I just wanted one, and didn't really play much on it. I think I had Guilty Gear for it. I think I had Guilty Gear for Game Boy Pocket. I think it was Guilty Gear on Game Boy. On Game Boy, I can't remember. I think it was. And I had Street Fighter on the Game Boy. I had, what else I had on there? I had Street Fighter. I think I had Guilty Gear on there. Of course, I had Pokemon Blue on there, but then when Color came out, then I had Pokemon Yellow for Game Boy Color, for the Game Boy Color. But yeah, I didn't really have much games. And then the DS, I didn't really have much games on there either. The DS, I had Mario 64. I had Trace Memory, which was actually, I love Trace Memory. That was actually a good game. That was like around the launch of the DS. It was, yeah, my DS wasn't really played much. It wasn't really played much, but my DS had got did my DS get stolen? Can't remember if it did or not. I don't think it did. No, that was my brother Keo. His DSi got stolen. And then once I got the 3DS, I didn't really play much on the 3DS either. Where most of my gameplay came from the 3DS was Super Smash Brothers 3DS. Super Smash Bros. 3DS, Tales of the Abyss on the 3DS, and Project Crawlstone 2 on the 3DS. They were the only three major games that I played on the 3DS. I forgot on the DS. Also on the DS, I played a lot of Final Fantasy IV Remake. Yeah, it's a pain if you're talking about Yakuza, Black Panther. Usually had okay, GameCube, Beautiful Joe. Still got Advance Game Boy. I guess that wasn't good enough. Still, wish I still had my Game Boy SP. Yeah, wish I kept my old consoles. Though realistically, they would have been stolen too. Damn, who's stealing your shit like that, bro? Love my GameCube. I remember getting Sonic Adventure 2 around the time. Yeah, man, that was like that was hurtful. It was so weird seeing Sonic Adventure 2 on the GameCube, because remember I have the Dreamcast, and the Dreamcast, it was so weird seeing a Sega logo on a GameCube box. Seeing Crazy Taxi come to the PS2, it was just so weird at that time, and it took me a hard time to accept it as well. Snoop Dogg was a better fitting for the antagonist. Yeah, he was. I agree, Jackson. He was a real good antagonist. Twilight Princess on the GameCube was my damn. I didn't like Twilight Princess. I was actually disappointed. I was really looking forward to that. I just couldn't get into it. I didn't get it on the GameCube. I ended up getting it on the Wii. The bouncer is literally created by the makers of Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, no, I mean Nomura drew the characters and everything. I love the bouncer. The bouncer's not really that good of a game, but I liked it. I do want to do a retrospective on it because I love that game that much. Oh, thanks for the super chat, $5 super chat from that hip. That hip said PC gamer here, but the only generation where I owned all three consoles was the Xbox 360, PS3, Wii era. 2005, 2013 was best 8 years of my life. All I did was game. Yeah, well, the first portion of that generation I gamed, but that's when I went back to college. Once I went back to finish college, I didn't have time to game like that. I would like buy a game, and that's what got me into the fighting game craze for me, because fighting games was the only thing I had time to play, because I'm able to pick it up and play. But I didn't have time to really play action adventure games or JRPGs like that. So JRPGs kind of fizzled out while I was in college. From 2011 to 2014, it kind of fizzled out. It kind of fizzled out for me. Well, actually, I didn't get back into. When did Xenoblade 2 come out? What year was that? When did the Switch come out? Switch came out 2017 or 2018. Whenever the Switch had launched, and within that launch window, when Xenoblade 2 dropped, that next year, because I bought Xenoblade 2 on launch, but never opened it. I bought the collectors, never opened it though, and I end up opening it the following year, and that's what got me back into RPGs again. The Bouncer is an arcade beat 'em up that has jank, but it's okay because it's also created by Dream Factory. Dream Factory is the creators of Total #1. If you notice, the Sion, Colefo, and Vault, they got their move set is is stripped and ripped from the characters from Tobal. Sion got Cheji's move set. Colafo has Grin moveset, and Vault has the Chicken Man's moveset, I believe it was. Yeah, they just ripped it from Tobal. They literally ripped Tobal's moveset and then just gave it to the cast of the Bouncer. It's made by the same developers. Urban Reign was before Bayonetta. It was on PS2. Oh, okay. Then what was the other game? I could be wrong. No Contest, Tekken. No, not Urban Reign. What was that other game? They had it was a fighting game with Bayonetta in it. So it wasn't Urban Reign then. My fault. My bad. The best generation of video games in the PS2 era. The DS was my final Christmas gift, and we stopped celebrating after that. I agree. No disrespect to DMX. Rip. Junior Raff, what's up? Had a Pokemon for any Nintendo handheld. Yeah. Game Boy Advance is amazing. Pokemon Fire Red and Emerald. Yeah, my brother loved the big Mega Man Battle Networks. Kyo, he almost had all the network games. He was a big fan. I mean, he was a mega fan. For that, for the Mega Man Battle Networks, he had almost all of them on the. He almost had all of them on. He had all of them on the Advance. He watched the anime that came on Kids WB on Saturday mornings, and he also had got the GameCube 2D side scroller, which I thought that one was lame. But yeah, he was a big fan, and he had the action figures too. Guilty Gear X was on Game Boy. Yup, it was Guilty Gear X. Yup. Problem. Anarchy Reign. Yeah, Anarchy Reign. My fault. It was Anarchy Reign. Thanks, RMK. Bayonetta 2, bro. I think you're thinking about Anarchy Reign. It could beat them up, but wrong game. Yeah, it was that. It was that, bro. So I thought to ask you a question during the previous stream. Are you familiar with Super Robot Wars? Yeah, I'm not really interested in it though. I'm good. June said Hotel Dusk. I think I heard of that. Yeah, Project Crawl Zone 2. Oh man. Anyway, that's the best rap soundtrack in all gaming. Never played that game. I don't even know what the fuck it looks like. No, I only saw screenshots in the magazine. He had a couple games I really wanted. Having to Omega Katana, cousins or hood rat friends would be stealing your consoles. That's crazy. Right, during college. That's crazy. I miss my 3. I cannot find my 3DS XL at all because I really want to go back and play Project Crawl Zone 2 because I never finished it. And if Nintendo was smart, they need to do a Project Crawl Zone 3 for Nintendo Switch 2. And just like how Super Smash Brothers Ultimate was like a big event as far as Nintendo Directs, they could do the same thing for Project Crawl Zone 3. That would be awesome. The bouncer would be better if the controls were slightly. Yeah, man. That was the problem with the bouncer. The main thing about the bouncer, what ruined the bouncer. I mean, the storyline was cheesy. The visuals was good for its time, but what really ruined the bouncer was his fucking controls. The controls was fucking atrocious, and like I said before, those controls came from Tobal. Tobal number 1. If you remember, Tobal number 1 had a quest mode. Quest mode was the shittiest mode because of its controls. And Dream Factory is also the ones who created Guys. And Guys had that RPG dungeon crawler, which also had shitty controls. They were known for shitty controls when it came to fighting games. And the bouncer was like the worst of them all. Because now it's a brawler, but with those shitty controls. That's what really ruined the experience for the bouncer. Yeah, I'm talking about Xenoblade 2. I know Xenoblade, the first one came out, around that time, but Xenoblade 2 was the one. Fun fact: Sora was going to be a lion with a chain. Yeah. Well, the thing was, Square Enix wanted to make their own Mario 64. They wanted to make their own Mario 64. That was the whole point of Kingdom Hearts. Before, like, the other ideas came in, They wanted because this is when the rise of the platformers started happening. Remember that era, the rise of the platformers, during the PS2, the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox era, where we got Jack and Daxter, and then we had got Ratchet and Clank, we had got Sly Cooper, we had got Super Mario Sunshine. It was the rise of the platformers during that time for some strange reason. Because remember, platformers kind of died out. It kind of died out. Like it was only during this time beat 'em ups were dead. We didn't really get much beat 'em ups, and platforms were kind of dying. The platforming mascots and stuff where they were slowly phasing out. So it was more so fighting games, survival horrors. That was real racing games and stuff like that. They were really taking over during that era, around that time in RPGs. And I remember PlayStation Magazine, Game Informer Magazine, they had a whole big front cover, the rise of the platformers. And with Kingdom Hearts, Square Enix wanted to capitalize on that, and they wanted to create an iconic character like Mario. And that was the whole point of Kingdom Hearts, to have their own Mario-like character that was a platformer. And then the rest became history. Yeah, it was rough being young then. Damn. Being 12 and here in the US. Okay. On the Nintendo Switch came out. Yeah, so around that time. Thanks. Yeah, Anarchy Reigns. Sorry, I'm catching up, guys. I miss playing on the Switch. Maybe the players going to be watch Strict PC Master Race. Anarchy Reigns. Yep, is literally the same creators of Tobal. All right, I'm trying to catch up. Hey, Mugen, did you remember Robopon? No, I do not remember. Like I said, I didn't really play the handheld, so I don't really know nothing about that. Y'all remember during the early 2000s, they was going to make a Capcom's Arc Systems? I never knew that. Tobal had great. Yeah, they did. No, Tobal had a great soundtrack. Guys, I hated that game. It was false advertisement because I only got Guys because Cloud was on the front on the front cover, just to find out he was just a guest character, no plot to why he's there. I was hoping there was going to be a plot and all kinds. Nope, I hated that game. What's up, Radical? It also had pressure sensitive controls for yeah, it did. PS2. That was another thing about the PS2 dual shot controller. The pressure controls, like we press down the buttons. Yeah, all right. Yep. Torna the Golden Country. The best part of Torna was the best. Was the best part of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It made it. I already love Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but it made me a believer. Torna the Golden Country DLC, the expansion. I bought the physical. That made me a believer. I was a Xenoblade fanboy after that. Beat 'em ups kind of moved to handhelds. Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, Crash Bandicoot, Jack and Daxter, Pac-Man World, tons of platformers. Yep. What about Namco X Capcom? Project Cross Zone is pretty much a sequel, is a spiritual successor to Namco Cross Capcom. Namco Cross Capcom never came to America, and that's what pissed me off. I remember sitting in I was in 11th grade, and I remember I was in class in my business class. And we had free time, so I'm on my computer that I was assigned to, and I was on GameSpot, and I remember seeing Namco Cross Capcom. Now I thought it was a fighting game, but when I clicked on it, I was going crazy because it had Klonoa, it had Dragoa, it had all these Namco characters, and then I saw Capcom characters and stuff, and then I see all the combos, the characters from Tekken and pairing up with Street Fighter characters. Then I found out it was like a Tactics game, and then only to find out that it was never coming to the States. But then when Project Cross Zone, it is a spiritual successor, like a sequel to it, because the two main characters from Namco Cross Capcom is in Project Cross Zone. Clay Fighters was ass. I love Diddy Kong Racing was cool. Banjo-Kazooie is cool. I was thinking about buying do you hell yeah, I recommend it. If you're into JRPGs or RPGs in general, and you into good character development, great RPG mechanics, great storytelling, then I suggest that you pick up Xenoblade Chronicles. I suggest that you pick it up. I'm telling you, I am not playing around. Pick it up. I suggest it So, are you bummed that only 10% of Sucker Punch stated, yeah, wanted to return? Yeah, like I said, the Naughty Dog, the original creators of Naughty Dog, who left the company. I think they left the company. Yeah, they left it. I think they left the company. Not the original guys are there. The ones that started Crash Bandicoot and stuff like that. They admitted. I think I saw a documentary one point a couple years ago where they admitted that their whole goal was to move more into the cinematic, but they wanted to build their portfolio. That's why they started with Crash Bandicoot with the stylized cartoon characters, Crash Bandicoot, also with the Jack series and stuff. I'm talking about Naughty Dog. I'm talking about the other company started the Sly Cooper, but I wanted to explain why we started losing these characters. But with Naughty Dog, once Naughty Dog got into the Nathan Drake, the Uncharted games, and once they became bangers, they were done. They didn't want to go back to the whole cartoon stylized characters anymore. And so you can pretty much say that you can blame Uncharted for that. Once Uncharted came out and was a success, that was it. They didn't want to go back to that no more. So I miss playing boat racing games like Hydro Thunder. I wasn't really into those. Do you use every? Nah, I'm not really an emulator guy. I had download emulators, but I never, like I said, like if you wasn't here in the last stream when I talked about emulators, it feels like a cheat to me. They don't feel it doesn't feel legit. Like I said, I'm a console player. It was another reason why, despite the PC being much more superior, I'm not a digital person. And as I said before, my PC can play some high quality games or whatever like that for the build that I do currently have. But the problem is my PC is a multimedia machine. It doesn't feel like a console to me. I animate on my PC. I make YouTube videos. I edit. I animate. I do special effects. I pay my bills. I surf the web. It does everything. So it doesn't feel like a console to me. And then when you go to Steam, you don't have that physical box. All your games are just digital. You see wallpapers of your games. And to me, I feel robbed of that game, and it just doesn't feel legitimate to me. That's why I can't get into it. So the same thing for emulators. I like even back then when I did have emulators, and I was so happy. So wait a minute, I can play any Super Nintendo game I want. Got the emulator, and now I'm downloading ROMs for the SNES. Even though I got my own SNES with a bunch of games on it, but I was able to. But at this point, my SNES is packed away in the box and everything like that, and I'm at the next generation of games and stuff like that. So, it was a lot easier to play these games, but I was able to download games that I never bought before and try them out. But it's just, as I'm playing them like this doesn't feel. I was like, it wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? So I can't get into emulation. I can't get into it. Xenoblade games are really good. I got the whole trilogy on my Switch. Nah, it good. So your punch ain't that good anymore. Yeah. Xenoblade Chronicles was a blast. Xenoblade Chronicles X is also great with giant robots. Anarchy, Reigns, top 3. It's MDK, Venom. Should I try Xenogears first? Okay, all right. So I love the fact that you're talking about that you're bringing this stuff up. I'm going to answer that question in a second. I'm about to do a whole Xeno thing real quick in a second with you guys. So I'll get to that in a second. I will answer your question in a second. Just give me a second, Jax. Originally, Project Girl Zone was to be talking about high international demand made the game good. I'm glad. Yes, sir. I will. Thanks. I hate it. They censored Xenoblade Chronicles X. Nowadays, Crash Bandicoot is owned by Activision. The creators, yeah. Naughty Dog was already done with Crash games, and when they started introducing aliens, they thought that it would kill the fan demand for the games. Have you ever played music with your whatever? We have almost no boat games like Hydro Thunder. Why hasn't any developers? Because you would have to. Indie developers may be doing it, but is there any money in it? That's the thing. I have mental block when it comes to PC games. I can't seem to get over. We got no hockey games either. Physical makes me feel like, yup. I have to emulate for all the overseas games. I never played on SNES. I hope that the Switch 2 will get Project Carlson Collection. Oh, I would love that too. I agree, Landon. Give me that. I agree. And also your profile that you know about Kids Next Door cartoon. I buy physical because I don't trust Sony games. Definitely hear you on that, Milky. All right, so it's like I can understand where you're coming from. I'm just glad I can play games I wasn't able to personally. They call Rex. They had the balls to make and three. Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll talk about that in a second. Said, what about when you play a game that was released in a completely different console, like Sega Collection? Is that not the same as emulating? But it's physical. I have it in my hand. That's the big difference. I have it in my hand, and I can pop it in the console, and I can play it. So that, like the Sega Collection, for a perfect example, back in the day, like the Sonic collections and the Mega Man collections, I got it on a disc. I can pop it in the console of whatever console I got it for and can play it. So yes, it's emulation, but it's still physical. I have no idea. The lack of physical copies is why I might be done with consoles. So yes, let me talk about Xeno real quick. All right, so there's some of you guys who asked, Jetstream asked me, should he start at Xenogears? I wish I had everything's packed away in storage because I would show you my Xenogears. Cause I showed it before in the video years ago. Cause I would like to show you my box that I have of a Xenogears, but anyway, hold on 1 second. I'm going to make sure. All right. So let me grab everything first. Let me grab what I want to grab. One second, guys. Let me grab this. Let me grab some stuff. 1 second. I'm just grabbing everything. All right, here we go. All right, so as far as Xeno is concerned, how much did you pay? How much I paid for mine? At the time when I got it built, I paid about like $1,200. Like $1,200, or I think it's around like $1,200 or $1,400 I paid for it. All right, so let's get into it for a second. Jetstream asked me, should he start with Xenogears? All right, first you need to understand the history. You got to understand the history real quick. You got to understand the history of the Xeno series. You got to understand, so you know how it all works. Now, Xenogears was originally supposed to be Final Fantasy VII at first, when it was at the beginning development of it. Takahashi and his thanks for the super chat, Jetstream. So Takahashi and his soon-to-be wife at the time, they were working on a game that was supposed to be like Final Fantasy VII, but because of how the story was so out there, and with the Xeno series, and with a lot of tourists and a lot of people who don't know about Xenogears or whatever like that, and only know about Xenoblade, they don't understand the religious tones and symbology behind it. It was a sci-fi mecha sci-fi / anime JRPG that took the Christian religion, the Christian faith, and added a sci-fi twist on it and flipped the Bible on its head. The game was so controversial that it was banned in Europe. It was just recently unbanned a couple of years ago. So now you'll be able to buy the game from the PlayStation Classics and stuff like that. But Europe had banned the game because it was considered blasphemous and all this other type of stuff, because it take the Bible, and it was so metaphoric and everything. Like the game was it was a philosophical game. So it was originally supposed to be a Final Fantasy game, but it was so out there. Square said this is not even Final Fantasy. So then it was supposed to be a sequel to Chrono Trigger, and it was so out there it couldn't even be a Chrono game. So eventually they allowed Takahashi to pretty much make his own game. So that's where Xenogears come into place. Him and his wife. He said, "How much you lift, bro? Shoot, gunshot. How much you lift?" I lift about. I live about like 160. No, around like 120 to 140 or whatever. I like me. I go for cut. I'm not trying to be massive. I'm not trying to be massive or whatever like that. So I don't really lift a lot of heavy weight or whatever. Yeah. So what happened was, it's America as well, but America was more lenient to fantasy. Yeah. So what happened was, they ended up working on the game, and while they were in the middle of developing the game, because Takahashi was like George Lucas with Star Wars. See, George Lucas started with the middle trilogy with episodes 4, 5, and 6. With Takahashi with Xenogears, there were supposed to be about 6 episodes. Yeah, it was 6 episodes, I think it was, for the Xeno series, for the Xenogears series. There's probably like 6 episodes. With Xenogears is actually episode 5. Xenogears is actually episode 5. He started with episode 5 first. But during the development of Xenogears, Square Enix had nailed it big with Final Fantasy VII. So Square Enix got kind of cocky and kind of too ambitious, because they not only did they greenlit Xenogears to be in development, they greenlit Final Fantasy at the time they greenlit Final Fantasy 8, 9, 10, and 11 at the same time. They had multiple Final Fantasies in development at the same time. And then what happened was they released that shitty ass Final Fantasy movie called Final Fantasy Spirits Within, and that almost bankrupted the company. So since it almost bankrupted the company, it also infected and impacted the development process of Xenogears. So right when they were about to start and begin Xenogears Disc 2, it was a 2-disc game. They had to cut the budget. Takahashi was upset. They said, "Yo, we need more time for this game, for Disc 2." And Square told him, said, "You either work with the budget you got, or just we're going to have to cancel the game." Because now they have to put all their eggs back into Final Fantasy again to get out of this debt. And this is during the time that Square Enix was looking to have a partnership merger with Square Enix. Enix, my fault, to do a merger with Enix. Now, Enix, because of Spirits Within, they had to pull back from the merger because of the debt that movie had put Square in. They had to pull back. So they had to wait for a bit. So Xenogears Disc 2 is more like a novel. Like, you know, them anime light novels, like those novel games, where there's really no gameplay on Disc 2, which is so sad. Whereas most of it's like text, walls of text, and the characters talking and stuff. And then between those texts, you fight a boss. And then after you finish all the dialogue in those boss fights, and then the world map reopens back up so you can do all the last finish all the last quests before you fight the last boss and stuff. So sad. So there was a lot of missed opportunities there. Takahashi's full idea, never met its full potential. All right, so there you go. That's Xenogears. Now, after that, right, Takahashi and his team that made Xenogears felt frustrated because now Squaresoft is only putting their focus back into Final Fantasy again after that financial loss from the Final Fantasy movie. So Takahashi wanted to leave because he really wanted to see Xenogears, his idea, him and his wife's idea, fully realized. So he left. So Namco, because it wasn't Bandai Namco yet. Namco saw this as an opportunity and decided to help Takahashi open up a studio called Monolith Soft. Monolith Soft was a secondary studio within Namco itself at the time. So Monolith Soft worked on games like Baten Kaitos and also Namco Cross Capcom. They worked on that as well. So he wanted to continue his vision for the Xeno series. But Squaresoft or Square Enix, they own the rights to Xenogears. They own the right to his ideas. So now he can't tell the Xenogears story the way he wants to. Now he has to start over again. He has to retell the story, but he has to do it in a different way so you can't get sued because Square owns Xenogears. So he created a new series called Xenosaga. So instead of starting at Xenogears episode 5, Xenosaga starts at episode 1. So he's going to start from the very beginning and work his way up to the events of Xenogears, starting with Xenosaga episode 1. That was the whole plan. Now, here's the problem. I got the Xenosaga. They only made it to 3 episodes. They never finished Xenosaga because Xenosaga failed. It failed horribly. And the reason why, in my personal opinion, it failed is that, one, the project was super ambitious. I mean, this was an ambitious game. And the thing is, Takahashi, the reason why I like the Xenogears, it wasn't just a story, but it was also the gameplay. The gameplay of Xenogears had a combo system. It felt like a fighting game, but at the same time, it was a turn-based RPG, but with fighting game combos, great setups and attacks. And then you had your mecha gameplay that had combos and stuff like that, and you could equip different engines and weapons on them and stuff. So it was a great game. Xenosaga was nowhere at the level of great gameplay that Xenogears had delivered. And in fact, it felt much more clunky to me, in my personal opinion. So the gameplay to me wasn't really that fun for Xenosaga. And then 2, Takahashi's vision. This man has a vision when it comes to that story. There is so much to the Xeno series that this man doesn't really know how to execute it at the time in these games. Because I will tell you one thing about Xenosaga. Xenosaga has the same issues that Kojima had with his games, especially as we got into the later Metal Gear games. There's more cutscenes than gameplay in Xenosaga. I mean, when I say the dialogue and cutscenes are like almost like some cutscenes can run from 20 to half an hour, 20 minutes to a half an hour. You sit there most of the time and it's just exposition dump. And the thing is, I like a good story, but when you're taking the control from me as a player to interact with the story, then that's another issue that I have. And then, like I said, his vision is so vast. And since you get hit with all this exposition dump, the stories start going way out there. It started getting so convoluted where I had a hard time following it. So Xenosaga episode 1 failed as far as sales were concerned. So Xenosaga 2 came in. So Takahashi felt as though that maybe it was him. Maybe he should pass it on to a younger team. He passed Xenosaga 2 to a younger team. And guess what? That failed more. They failed worse than episode 1. The matter of fact, episode 2 was the worst in the series. Wasn't the worst out of the 3 episodes. Xenosaga episode 2. So after that, he had to return to episode 3. And the thing I didn't like about episode 3, they got rid of the combo system that the other games had. Now it's just a regular turn-based game or whatever like that. So there's a lot of things going on with Xenosaga that it just didn't work. But you did get some iconic characters, and that iconic character was Cosmos. Cosmos has become synonymous with the Xeno series of that time. And she's still a popular character. She made cameos in certain games, especially in Japan and stuff like that. So she became a popular character. So that's something came out of that. So now, Xeno series is dead. It is dead. Even Harada, the father of Tekken, he had interest in wanting to release a HD because now, what Bandai did, they let go of Monolith Soft. They allowed Monolith Soft to be its own entity. They became an independent studio now. So Takahashi was able to create the games that they wanted and everything. So they worked on a couple titles. I haven't really bought much of their titles. The only game I got from them outside of the Xeno games was Bates and Kaitos. And I wanted Namco Cross Capcom, but that was only released in Japan. So that was the only thing I got from Monolith Soft. But that was it. Like Xeno was dead. No one thought it was going to return. Now we thought it was going to be some hope. We thought it was going to be some hope at one point where Harada, the father of Tekken, wanted to do an HD collection. Because now, remember, Monolith Soft had stopped, had left Bandai. They didn't Bandai Namco. They independent. But even though they're independent, they don't own Xenosaga. So it's another situation like Square Enix, where Takahashi doesn't own Xenogears. Now that he left Bandai Namco owns the rights to Xenosaga. So Xeno was you might say Xeno was dead in the water at this time. There's no sense now. Now it's fragmented. But what happened was, God rest his soul, the old president, the previous president to go, Satoru Iwata of Nintendo during the time of the Wii, he approached Takahashi. He wanted them to make a game for a JRPG for the Nintendo Wii, which he was like astounded by it. Like, oh yeah, I would love to do this. Like, all right, sign me up. So the original game was called the Monado, and what he did was he built a model kit of the mechanics, fighting each other and stuff like that. And that model kit he introduced to Iwata and the team at Nintendo and stuff like that. Iwata and them loved it so much, he had an idea. He went to Takahashi and told him, he told him that, yo, I understand how much you have loved the Xeno series that you have created. He said, instead of calling it the Monado, how about you name it Xeno? And that opened his eyes. He didn't think about that. And he didn't know how much that Iwata knew how much he liked the Xeno series. So that he went back and he had to go back and scrap whatever story ideas that he had. So now he's able to implement his Xeno story into Xenoblade. And that's when you have Xenoblade. Now, Xenoblade picks elements from various different episodes. And remember, he doesn't own Xenosaga because Bandai Namco owns it. He don't own Xenogears because Square Enix owns it. So now he has to start from scratch again. But he still took some elements from those games and the other elements that he had yet to develop from the other episodes that never seen the light of day. So now he's able to take those themes and elements from those episodes that he never released, and even take Xenogears and Xenoblade and Xenosaga's elements and just retool them, restructure them to make them different from Xenosaga and Xenogears. But still, it pays homage and it still calls back to it. So if you played Xenogears, if you played Xenosaga, you'll be able to find those elements in Xenoblade. That's the wonders of the Xenoblade series. If you played the previous series, you're going to love Xenoblade even more because you're able to pick out those things. Now, Xenoblade takes those spirituals or that Christian religion, and it's found in Xenoblade. It's still there in Xenoblade. The Trinity processor. That is the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. But the thing is about Xenoblade, it doesn't go heavy into the religious parts. Xenogears and Xenosaga was heavy in it. I loved it. It was like I said, they took the Bible and added a sci-fi twist to it, and I loved it that much. Xenoblade does it more lightly or whatever, and I think they're only doing that to avoid controversy or to avoid, a lot of the Twitter stuff, like the Twitter heads that gets really and the religious people that really get triggered by stuff like that. So they tone it down or they do it in a much more indirect way. Think about Rex. Rex, he's pretty much like the Abraham, the father of many nations, because of, if you played Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and you seen what happened to Rex, and he got down, if you know what I'm talking about. But he represents Abraham and stuff like that. A lot of the characters have biblical names, like Xenoblade 3 has Noah. There's a reason why he's called Noah. There is a purpose. There is a purpose why these characters are named certain things. If you look at the Zohar is a spiritual symbol in Christian and Judeo-Christian religion and stuff like that. So there's a lot of elements you can find or whatever. So just to show you my Xenoblade collection that I have here, if you want to get into the Xeno series, you don't have to start at Xenogears because it doesn't. There's no there's no defining connection. If you played the games, you'll be able to see some of the homage and some of the elements, but you don't need to play Xenogears to understand Xenoblade. I suggest you play Xenogears because you'll be able to appreciate Xenoblade even more. And by the time you get to the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC, he connects all of it together in a way to where he can't get sued for it. But he did it. He's a genius. He's able to connect Xenoblade, Xenogears, and Saga together, like masterfully, at the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 expansion, DLC expansion, or whatever. But as I said before, you can just start at Xenoblade. So my brother Keo has the original Xenoblade for the Wii. I didn't get the Xenoblade for the Wii. My brother did. And the fans, because that was supposed to be a Japanese only release. Last story, Xenoblade and Pandora's Tower was only Japanese only games, and RPG fans was furious. Said, "No, Nintendo, you're not going to do this to us." Fans did a petition for it so hard, and because of the fans, I think it's called Project Rainfall or Project. Yeah, I think it's called Project Rainfall. And yes, and it was a GameStop. It was a GameStop exclusive. So yes, you can start at Xenoblade 1, which I have. I have Xenoblade 1 on the Nintendo Switch, Xenoblade Definitive Edition. This is the definitive version of the experience to play Xenoblade Chronicles 1 if you don't have the Wii version. Because the Wii version, if you don't have the Wii version, it's very expensive trying to get it now. And I'm glad we got it. We had it at launch on the Wii. So yes, Xenoblade Chronicles 1. Then the RPG that really got me back into RPGs after I graduated out of college and took some time when Switch 1 came out. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I got the special edition, which I'll show. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 special edition. Beautiful. Fucking beautiful. Comes with the soundtrack on the thumb drive. It comes with an art box. No, the thumb drive comes with the other one. I got the actual disc. Never opened it. Still in there. The art book, everything. Look at this. Look at this beauty. Look at this. Look at this. Yes. And it comes with a steel case. It comes with a steel case. See? Pyra, Mithra, Rex. Hold up, I'll answer you. I know you guys have been sending me a lot of questions. Hold up. I'll get to that. I'll get to you guys in a second. I just want to finish this little spiel. And what Xenoblade normally does, they always have DLC expansions that adds to the story. And it's important that you need to know this. These story elements, because they all play into each other. So I got the rare physical edition of Xenoblade Golden Country of Torna. Love this. That's why Xenoblade Chronicles 2 will always be my favorite version of my favorite entry to the series. Love this game. And this is the first game that almost made where I actually shed tears at the end of this. This game really hit me in my feelings for the first time. A video game that actually made me shed tears. Beautiful game. Beautiful gameplay. My favorite cast of RPG characters ever. Yes, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Golden Country of Torna. Physical is hard to find. I got the last copy because after I played Xenoblade 2, I said I'm going to wait and get the expansion. But I was so addicted by the time I made it to the end, I said no. I ran to GameStop. It was one copy left. Got the physical and fell in love. So then the Wii U came out. And the Wii U, and actually my first entry into the Xenoblade series was Xenoblade Chronicles X. That was my first entry to Xenoblade. My brother's first entry was Xenoblade 1 on the Wii. My first entry to Xenoblade was Xenoblade Chronicles X. And what made me get it, because Xenoblade Chronicles X literally had the X, the Xenogear X. If you look at the promo trailer, the first trailer that was announced during Nintendo Direct for the Wii U, they had the Xenogears X. And I was like, and it brought back mechs, because Xenoblade doesn't really focus on mechs. Mechs were a big proponent to Xenogears and and somewhat Xenosaga, but Xenogears, that was the whole thing. It's called Gears. The Gears were the mechs. Xenogears, they were the mechs. The Gears itself was very, very big and an important proponent to the Xenogears game. So when Xenoblade Chronicles was announced, I got the collector's edition. When that was announced, it showed the mechs, and I was like, okay, are we going back to Xenogears with this? And it comes with a thumb drive with the music soundtrack on it and everything. Like I was on board with this. But my God, I hated this game. I wouldn't say hate it. I didn't like it. I didn't like this game. I didn't like the soundtrack. I didn't like the fact that this game wasn't story heavy. It was more so on exploration. The game focused more exploration than linear storytelling. And me, I'm an RPG guy. I love my storytelling. I love my linear storytelling and stuff like that. And that game didn't offer that. It was more of an open world. You know, you do missions, and then then story missions was gate kept and locked behind these nodes that you had to collect, that you had to unlock on the world map and stuff. I didn't like it. I was disappointed in this game. I couldn't then the main character is an avatar, is you, and I didn't like that. Some games I like avatars, but most games I don't like. I don't like most JRPGs unless it's an MMO. I don't like most JRPGs that you are an avatar, because I like to follow a character, and when you're an avatar, especially if they don't implement it right, you don't feel like you're a part of the story. And then the character is generic. I didn't like the character models. Everybody felt generic to me. Only Emma. Emma was the only one that actually had a personality. Is that her name? Emma? It's been so long. I think it was Emma, right? But yeah, so I didn't like this, but it did later, recently this year. I said I'm gonna give it another chance, because it did release on the Nintendo Switch, the definitive edition. So this also is a definitive edition. So I'm definitely gonna go back and give it a try. So I got it for the Nintendo Switch. But just to also let you know, I'm such a damn fiend that I love Xenoblade so much. I even got the Xenoblade controller, Pro controller, for the Nintendo Switch. My favorite controller. It's the only controller I use besides my original right here. I use this. I love this one. I love this controller. Really do. So there we go with that. And then, oh yeah, I forgot. And then I also have for the Wii U, because like I said, I was all in with Xenoblade Chronicles X, just to be disappointed. I even bought the strategy guide. And the thing is, I never used it. I bought it because I was a fiend. And I love it. I love the art. It looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. So that's the reason why I bought the guide. I never even used it, but I bought the guide too. But like I said, the last game was oops, hold on. Last game right here, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And it has an expansion, but the expansion doesn't have a physical. It's only digital, which is a bummer, because I really wanted to do that. Do you just type the name? How do you reply to a specific person? You gotta do @ and then the person name. So yeah. So Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So yeah, this is my Xeno collection. If you are looking for to get into a JRPG series for the Nintendo Switch, I suggest that you do give Xenoblade Chronicles a try. I suggest my audience to give that series a try. The Xeno series, trust me, you won't be disappointed. You would not be disappointed at all. Really good series. So yeah, that's the long answer, Jetstream, for the Xeno series. Let me put this stuff back real quick. and then I'll answer your questions. And that's why I said Xenoblade and the Xeno series is why Venus Orion Comics. It's partially why, one of the main reasons why Venus Orion Comics exists. Everything that I put, the imagery and everything, and Venus Orion Comics is for a reason. And I got that from Takahashi's playbook. So let me go back and read these questions because I know a lot of you guys. God damn, shit. All right, so just remind me, Capcom ideas of creating Street Fighter 3 Guild comes from the Bible and Greek mythology and secret society. Just so you know, I still yet to play Xenoblade 2 and 3. Definitely give them a try, bro. So I may have to tune out if you talk about those games. Yeah, I won't spoil it. I know a lot of you guys are now you're showing more and more interest in the Xeno series, so I won't spoil those. No, I won't go on a tangent, giving story elements and stuff like that. Since I've been seeing a lot of you guys coming into the chat, asking about it. You know, Xenogears is a superior anime experience. Then wait. I just started watching even Gillian for the first time, and I'm telling you right now, I'm like episode 12 or 13, and it still haven't hit me yet. It's like it's kind of boring. And everybody been glazing it for since it came out years ago in the States. People have been glazing the fuck out of it, and it still haven't really brought me into it. And I'm still waiting for that to click for me for Evangelion. But yeah, Xenogears is a better Evangelion. It's way better. So many games I have so forgiving. Is that forgiving? Like, there's nothing to like apologize and ask for forgiveness about. You know, look at me. I got a whole backlog of shit. A lot of you guys want to play the Trails games, and now the remake is coming out, or if it's out now or not, I'm not sure. I'm picking that up, but I won't be able to play it right away. Yeah, some other games I have to finish first. So I know how it feels. Last time I did lift in bitch person 440. Okay. Yeah, this too was disappointing. Unlike even getting with the reference to Ultraman, how the angels going to pride, the undoing of man and gods alike. Square teaming up with Enix was the perfect combination to do that. Yeah, I thought when I first heard about Square Enix coming together to become one company, I said, "Oh my god, this is going to be OP as fuck. This is going to be OP. Two of the best RPG companies coming together as one." But look at the results. Square was at its best, and Enix was at its best when they were separate companies. And when they merge, you see more games from the Square side than you see the Enix side. As a result, left the company afterwards. Capcom, Neo Geo, SNK should come together as one big company. No, don't come together. Nope. Leave it alone. I don't want companies absorbing companies and merging together. Like we need as much competition as possible. Xenosaga 2 was frustrating as hell, and the third game felt underwhelming because of the pacing. Yeah, and those are rare games. Those games are expensive to find too. Oh yeah, RPGs with fighting game mechanics are one of my favorites. So I want to play the Metal Gear Snake Eater. My dad loves Snake Eater, but like I said, like Metal Gear, I enjoy watching Metal Gear than playing it because they like movies. They should do Final Fantasy VII based movie instead of Spirits Within. Back in the day, yeah, that we all thought we was gonna get a Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Yo, what's up, Blaze? So the two previous Xeno series died due to non-existent focus. Why did the team of Xenosaga 2 didn't include stores and get the game difficulty spikes? I have no idea. Yes, I want Xenogears in the full version. No disc 2 bullshit where everything is cut. Yeah, so Xenogears. Yeah, so as far as disc 2, I like if they do a remake, and that's what I don't like about Square Enix, what they did, because they neglected Takahashi. The moment Xenoblade, because Xenoblade Chronicles 1 had got a lot of great reception, but it wasn't until Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that brought Xenoblade to the mainstream. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is equivalent to Final Fantasy 7, what Final Fantasy 7 did for JRPGs and what it did for Square for bringing JRPGs and bringing Final Fantasy to the mainstream. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is responsible for bringing Xenoblade because it was a successful selling. Takahashi's dream finally came true to have a successful Xeno game, and now he's able to bring more of his vision to life. So, the thing I don't like about Square and what they did, the moment Xenoblade Chronicles 2 made so much money, Square Enix started releasing action figures on their website of Xenogears. They started selling Weltall, which is Faye's mech, his gear. They have Faye Faye Fong Wong. They have Ellie. Now Ellie, the female protagonist in Xenogears. They got figures of her. Now they started releasing merchandise of Xenogears. They capitalized off of that because people don't know there's a lot of people who don't even know nothing about Xenogears. Because this one person made a video said, "Oh my god, you just like this one guy. I was so excited to see this guy excited for Xenoblade. He was excited about Xenoblade 3 because the main character was named Noah. Now, this is how I know that he's a Xenogear, that he's a true Xeno fan. Because he played Xenoblade 3 for the first time, and he made a video on Twitter. He's pulling on his hair. He said, "Oh my god, don't you understand? The main character is named Noah." He said, "Don't you understand? Like, his name is Noah." So I understand what he's talking about. He said, Noah from the Bible. So you have a lot of tourists coming in ragging on him, saying, "Don't you dare equivalate Xenoblade to the Bible. Like, don't you dare keep the Bible away from Xenoblade." And then then you have other people who played Xenoblade and said, "Dude, it's just Noah. Like with it, like it's just that's a regular name. Like, why are you all hype about it?" But me as a true Xeno fan, I know what the fuck he's talking about. Because a true Xeno fan knows that the history of what Xeno means and the religious context and the themes and the symbolism for the Xeno series. So it was a bunch of tourists just ragging on him and not knowing, because a lot of them don't know anything about Xenogears or Xenosaga. Xenosaga goes so heavy into the religious aspect, which I won't spoil, or whatever like that. It goes super heavy into it, so sci-fi heavy. It's crazy. Like I said, it went so far out there that I only played through the series once, and since I didn't enjoy the series that much, because like I said, it was more cutscenes than gameplay than anything, and it didn't have the same gameplay that made me addicted to the game. I didn't want to go back through it. I didn't want to drag right through it again. But the storyline was so out there, even I was fucking confused, because Xenogears confused me as a kid. I replayed it so many times, and now as I got older, and when they did the re-release on the PSP store, like for the classics, for the PS1 classics, I rebought it for my PSP since I had the PS1 version stored away and all my PS1 games stored packed away in storage. I rebought it for the PSP and replayed it again, and I finally was able to grasp it, get a true understanding of it even more and appreciate it even more. I already appreciate it, but I even appreciate it even more now that I was older. Because at the time when Xenoblade came out, I believe I was like 10 or no, I was 11 years old. I was 11 years old when that damn game came out. I was 11-year-old playing it. I shouldn't even been playing that game. But my father got it for me. My dad loved the game. My dad got me the game. He got the game too. And I shouldn't have been playing that game. That's how complex, and it was also like really violent too and stuff. And it had anime cutscenes and voice acting in it as well. It was a dope game. Thank you for preaching the good word of Xeno. Oh, no problem, sis. No problem. Did you play Nintendo Switch 2 yet, Mugen? No, it's still right here. I would show you the box, but my camera is on the box. That's why it's raised up this way. It's standing on the box. I'll show you the box and everything before I close out. How is your current financial situation? It's fine. Sweet Jesus. Hey, it looks fire. Damn near. Yeah, Torner's like 25 hours long, but it's so much there. There's a lot. They are a lot better on Switch 2. Well, they haven't did a Switch 2 upgrade yet for the Xeno games. I'm waiting for them to do that because that gives me another reason to go back and play it. I'm so glad I didn't chance it and just got Torna out of the gate. Yeah, now Torna is a prequel to 2. Torna takes place 200 years before Xenoblade 2, I believe. Yeah, Torna's a prequel. Well tall. Yep. Speaking of Mecha, have you tried Front Mission? I was it Front Mission 5 on PS1? I have that one. I have the PS1. That was my first time being introduced to Front Mission. Haven't really, but I was young then, so I didn't really. I was playing. I beat Final Fantasy Tactics, and I was looking for another Tactics game. Front Mission, I didn't appreciate it when I was young. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though it was a Tactics game, it was a Mecha Tactics game. Some of the story was okay or whatever like that, but the remakes came out. I'm thinking about getting those for the Switch. The remakes to Front Mission. Front Mission is damn near lost, forgotten franchise. Yeah, I don't like when the main character doesn't talk. How do you reply to people? Do you just name? Yes. I'm talking to anybody. Hop. What up, Moon Lord? What's up, Cole? Fire Emblem Three Houses is also fair. I missed it, but when did you play? Oh crap! When did you play Xenoblade 1, and how do you feel about it compared? Xenoblade it's fun. I like it. I will always love 2 more than both of them. I would say I like 2, then 1, then 3. And they're all and just because I rank the lowest doesn't mean it's a bad game. They're all solid games. But if I had to choose like which one that like really, really drives it in, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Thank you. Or that's how you do it. Great box. Xenoblade 2 was the second game I purchased on my Switch, and ever since then I became a permanent. Damn, that's the second game for you. That's awesome for it to be like you get a Switch and that's your second game. Like you walk right into greatness. You just step right into it. I remember Evangelion over a decade ago and still haven't seen it. Yeah, I've just jumped into Evangelion this late. Because like I tend not to watch animes that everybody glaze every 5 minutes and everybody talks about it because it makes you feel like I'm hopping on the bandwagon. That's the same thing when it came to Death Note. I didn't watch Death Note until years later. Until like I watched Death Note in like 2015. That's when I first watched Death Note. You will recall her names is better than you say run from My Hero. Yeah. They need to stop BSing and bring back Terra Enigma. Yeah, the collabs, yes, 3 and called it. Remember Billy and Mandy, Calls It Assimilate. Didn't know Square Enix were 2. Yeah, they're 2 separate companies. Star Ocean is made by Enix. Mischief Makers on Nintendo 64. That was made by Enix. Was it Rayada Story? No, that's made by they made by Triace. But yes, Enix make games. They made games. Enix is Dragon Quest is Enix, I believe. Yeah, Dragon Quest is Enix. Yeah, Dragon Quest is Enix. Dragon Quest is Enix. Star Ocean is Enix. Mischief Makers is Enix. Yeah, Enix were separate companies. They were the top. Enix came, I think Enix came out first. Enix came before Square Soft came to be. Square Enix had the Dragon Quest series on the NES and stuff like that. Enix was the king of RPGs back in the day in Japan. They were the king. No, but the father of RPGs, JRPGs, is Falcom. The people, the developers behind Ys and the Trail series. They are the father, the grandfather. My fault. They are the grandfather of JRPGs. They started it all. And I didn't even know that. I watched the history of Falcom. I know that they were the grandfathers of JRPGs. They're the ones that really kicked off JRPGs. Falcom. But they're just starting to get popular a bit. They still have a small fan base, which they prefer to have like a niche fan base because they like to focus on giving fans what they want. Because going in the mainstream, it always ruins companies. The ID system bought it home. My favorite era was from 1987, the year I was born, to 1995 or so. Thanks. Great question. No problem. No problem. Arsis. Acres. I can't stand tourists that don't know their place and they act like they know everything. Samurai Showdown, is that one good? Samurai Showdown is good. It's a good fighting game. It's a game. That was the first game that introduced me to that really introduced me to an SNK game. And it was very unique because it was the first time I saw a fighting game where the cameras zoom in and out, and then you can knock the weapons out of their hands. Some characters even had pets that fight alongside. You can use them in your moveset, like that, like Gearfree, Nakamaru with her bird and stuff like that. That was interesting. And then you had these critical finishes where you slice them and then black dishes out. It was very cinematic. The tourists must have mistaken the religious themes with Scientology. Yeah. Heartbreaking. Yep. Very heartbreaking. 5. Damn. I had 3 on PS1. Yeah. It was good. Part 1 and Part 2. A bit basic though. Sega really needs to bring back Shining Force. Yeah. Do you think that Ancient Aliens have video games or some form of entertainment like that? They probably do. I mean, if we came up with that stuff, I'm pretty sure, especially if they're intelligent, they probably got something like that too. The first 2 Shining Forces were bangers. Yo, what's up, LG? 5. What are your favorite battles in Chrono Trigger? My favorite battles when you the one that got me the most that was heart-wrenching when you had to fight those save Robo. When Robo was you had to fight the robots at the factory, and when you beat them, Robo tried to defend you and they all start beating on them and stuff. It was very emotional and very sad. Another one when you first fight Magus, and when you beat Magnus, Magus like you fools, you don't understand what you're doing, and you defeating Magnus pretty much opened the way for Lavos and all this other type of stuff. So it lets you know that Magus wasn't really a bad guy in a sense. So yeah, those are memorable moments and stuff. Also regarding Earthbound, yes, I have Earthbound. I have the box. I have the what they call it, the strategy guide that comes with it. I have the game. It's packed away in storage. And it came with the scratch and sniff stickers. Where if you smell nasty, smells like a school book bag. You get the bubblegum monkey, you smell the bubblegum monkey, smell like bubblegum and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. Earthbound, my favorite town. Oh, you have one net, you have Toonstown, you have Threestown, and you have Fourside. My favorite town would be, of course, one set or Onet. I call it Onet. One net was my favorite town. Damn, all of them were good. And I like the town at Toonstown where Paula was from, because I like that prison that you go to save Paula. I love that song. Great soundtrack and everything. Great game. Great game. Was treasured. Well, all right. Mischief Maker may have. I guess Enix must have been the publishers then. My fault. I think Enix was the publisher. Development Mischief Maker. Enix was published it. There we go. Thanks for the correction. They was my fault. Never gotten the full and then yeah, Harvest Moon. Have you played Flashback or Blackthorn? I never heard of them. Enix did more publishing. They often partner with different developers. Thank you for discussing RPG gaming history. I love those. Yeah, Poppy, Smash Show, SNK Gonzalez. Great game discussion from Stacy. Aliens don't have video games. They probably have entire galaxies. Yes, bring back Shining Force. I'm just waiting for Sega to come back with another Sakura Wars. It's too damn long since the reboot on PS4. Haven't played them. Sakura Wars. Modern name one Western franchise that are still good in your mind. That's a good question. I didn't really do a lot of Western games. I'm more of a Japanese game type of guy. Western games are okay. Not all of them hit for me. I could be a cop out and say Mortal Kombat, but Mortal Kombat fell off for some time. Tomb Raider started off pretty good, then that fell off. Yeah, I'm not really into Western games like that. Earthbound's interesting, like how intricate it all is. You can egg farming. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, very. Moon, but Moon is very niche RPG. Oh, I got you, Carmen. I got you. Sleeper franchise, Beastmasters. I have Moonshine shirt. Looks like Mortal Kombat fell off so hard. It definitely did. Definitely did. Jollico, yes. What was that game? In America, it was called Rival Turf, and that generic box, that generic '90s box with the white kid on it with the bandana and stuff like that. And the box didn't even match the characters in the game. You know, back then when box art never made sense, it was never really like represented the game and stuff. Jollico was that company. Yeah, Rushing Beat in America in Japan it was Rushing Beat, but it's called Rival Turf here in America. And I still got that game too on SNES. Yep. Yeah, I heard they're making a new one. I heard they're making a new one. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it for tonight's stream. Before we go, don't go yet. I always want to remind you guys, definitely if you haven't checked it out yet, you can check out Venus Orion or VenusOrionComics.com. If you're interested in checking out to see what my comic book company is all about, you can check out the link to VenusOrionComics.com. Where you can check out the characters, which are called Paragons of Fate. You can check that out to get the backstory of my characters. Every month I try to upload a new Paragon, so you guys get the chance to know the characters and everything like that. You can also go to the shop and you can be able to purchase my comic, VK Orion Killer, Vampire Killers. It's the first comic ever released in my Venus Orion Comics universe. It's the only comic right now. Other comics will be coming soon, but it costs money, which I'm working on chapter 2 of VK right now with my artist. So that's going to come out next year in 2026. So stay tuned for that. I'm doing a campaign. In order to get chapter 2, you have to pre-order through the Kickstarter campaign when it finally launches. You can get it digital for $5. You can get the physical book for $16. Buy it from our website. Do not send me money through PayPal to buy a book. It doesn't work that way. Especially if you're buying a physical book, shipping is also tagged to it. You have to go through the site or whatever like that. But as I said before, you can go to the website. You can check out the comic. If you're interested in it, give it a try. We have so much in store for Venus Orion Comics. So I'll be uploading some more promos and stuff. I also have a newsletter that you can also check out. My newsletter, if you subscribe to the newsletter, is free. You get free wallpapers that you can download to your desktop and your mobile devices. Also, I'll be giving out discount codes. You can be able to get access, discounts to my merchandise. I'll be uploading new merchandise as Venus Orion Comics itself, become more and more recognized and more people are buying from the store, like the comics and stuff. But more and more people start buying shirts and mugs, then I'll start adding like wallets, mouse pads, and hoodies and sweatpants and all those other extra things. As time go along. There's also a store variant cover, which is called the trigger cover, which is that red cover that you see on the site. As I said before, definitely check out my newsletter, which I post a link in the chat. Also, if you like what I'm doing and you want to see Venus Orion Comics succeed and you want to see Venus Orion Comics become something, because I'm also trying to make it get it so big to the point they become video games and also anime. But if you're not a comic reader but you want to support Venus Orion Comics regardless, you can donate money to the PayPal, which I'll post a link. Venus Orion Comics PayPal. You can donate to there. That money goes towards paying voice actors, because if you don't know, Orion Colors Vampire Killers trailer for the first book had voice actors, because I want to give you a premium quality experience to the Venus Orion Comics universe. That's why I get voice actors. I pay those voice actors out of my pocket. Well, if you support Venus Orion Comics, by donating or sending money to the PayPal, that covers that takes the less of the stress off my pockets, and I can be able to put that into other things related to Venus Orion Comics. So it helps pay for voice actors. It helps pay for promotional material, fan service material on top of that as well. And it also helps pay allow me to pay my artists, you know, to make extra, to draw extra pages a month. Cause I gotta pay my artist monthly to work on chapter 2 of VK. I gotta pay her monthly to work on a certain amount of pages. So this chapter is going to be a pretty long chapter. So I gotta pay her monthly to complete it and stuff. So in order for her to do more pages a month, I gotta give her more money. I gotta pay her more money. So by donating to Venus Orion Comics, I can take that money too to get more pages. So the more pages I can pay her to do, the faster the comic can get done. So that's just to let you guys know about that. But if you're interested in joining the Discord, I'll link the Discord as well for you guys. Let me see. Here's the invite. All right, so if you're interested, you want to join. Yep. So that pretty much wraps this up. Oh yeah, and you can check out my brothers Strike and Kill Tees as well. They have their own custom t-shirt business where we do custom designs. They're the ones that made my Venus Orion Comics hoodie and merchandise and shirts, Venus Orion Comics shirts and stuff like that as well. And Orion Comics Vampire Killers. But your first purchase is $5 off. You can buy the custom designs here. We're stationed in Philadelphia. And also, we're graphic designers. So all designs are original designs by us. So you can't find designs anywhere else. So you got to come through us to buy these t-shirts from the website, or we can custom design your shirts by just contacting us. You can get your designs on hoodies, hats, mugs, tumblers, mouse pads, book bags, you name it. We can do it. So definitely check them out as well. Strike and Kill Tees, where I post the link. And that pretty much wraps up the stream. I will be streaming again on Friday. Friday, I won't be using StreamYard, so I won't be able to pull up your comments on the screen. That feature. Do you still sell your old Mugen Lord shirt? Which shirt? Talk about the one with the black and white shirt. So you talking about the black shirt with the white logo that says Mugen TV? Yeah, I still sell that. Yeah, I still sell that. I sell Mugen TV merchandise too. I'll share it. I'll show it to you guys. I got Mugen TV shirts. I got Mugen TV mugs as well. So if you're interested in that too, if you want to buy a Mugen TV shirt and a mug, that also helps, and I can put that towards Venus Orion Comics. Oh, the neon green one. I still got that. Yeah, I still got it. I gotta ask my brothers. If they still have the you talking about that one? Jesus. Oh God, that old one? That one you talking about? I gotta check. I gotta archive. I gotta check my external. I got it somewhere. I got it. I gotta find it though. I got an external hard drive with my old content. I gotta look through it. But yeah, I do have it. But yes. Thanks, David Harrell. But yeah, Friday we'll be streaming again. So you guys have a good night. So I will contact you about your merchandise and bugs on Instagram. Just let you know what I want. Okay, you can do that. You can go on Instagram and contact me, or go on Twitter. You can go. I'm on Twitter. I'm more so chat on Twitter, but I am on Instagram. Venus Orion. Oh, let me give you my Venus Orion Comics Instagram. So you guys in Twitter. So okay, so here's my Twitter. And here's my Instagram. You can contact me on either one of those. You can contact me there, and let me know if you're interested in merchandise from Venus Orion Comics or just Mugen TV. Just let me know. Just contact me. You can contact me on any of those platforms, and everything. I'm also got a YouTube channel, so you can check that out too. My Venus Orion Comics YouTube channel, my Mugen Lord channel. So you guys have a good night, and I'll be seeing you Game Fiends later. Peace out.